college football playoff rankings reaction. And your boy is right here, George Wrighster. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy because your time is the most valuable thing that you have. And I appreciate you spending it with me. So we got to talk about the college football playoff, the rankings, and how we feel about them. Because right now, I got some questions. I do have some questions about what the committee did. So we'll get straight into it, and so I can show you what they did because I'm a little bit surprised. So, and a little bit surprised, and I would agree with with Greg McElroy here. I'm actually a little bit surprised that I was not more upset about these rankings because ordinarily this is something to be a point of contention. My only issue when I started number 25 is I'm like, what has Tennessee done? Why is Tennessee ranked number 25? They have beaten zero teams that are ranked. I'm sorry, that have a winning season even their FCS team, no winning seasons. They have no ranked wins, nothing of the sort. So, and every team that good team they've played against, they've lost. I mean, I guess you went to overtime with Georgia, so that makes you good, I guess. Pitt, no problem with that since they have changed their quarterback to the true freshman. They have been absolutely playing extremely well. You have Washington at 23. They're finally getting some respect that they deserve. And Missouri, same question as Tennessee, except for they have less losses. So I'm not quite as mad about that right now. And then you guys make sure you guys hop in the chat. Of course, I will get to your comments. Michigan, I had no problem with them at 21. That makes sense. Iowa at 20. Why did it take the AP, and mind you, the AP poll next week, win or lose versus Oregon, especially if it's a close game? Iowa will magically be ranked next week. You can book it. SC finally getting some respect, which they deserve. Miami got clobbered because of their two losses and in the fashion that it happened as well to SMU and to Louisville. They got clobbered. Georgia Tech got clobbered compared to what the AP poll thinks against them. Vanderbilt completely overranked. They should be in the 20s at this point in time. They are just I got them at 14 still, so um, but I don't love it. Let's just say that. Now, this part is very interesting. The ACC, the amount of lack of love that the ACC is getting because of Georgia Tech losing. So now you're like, the eye test doesn't really pass with Virginia. It does with Louisville more, but Louisville lost to Virginia. So it's like, how much can we really love Virginia? I'm sorry, Louisville, when they lost to Virginia, they just lost their starting running back, Isaac Brown, and who's a dynamic back, leading the conference in yards per carry and everything else. When you feel like this Virginia team, they feel like Georgia Tech, that they are living on borrowed time right now. But that impacted the playoffs significantly. Now, my biggest problem, I'd have no problem with Utah at 13. This is a very good football team. Got Oklahoma at 12. Feels a little aggressive for me because I got them at 18. But here is the first question. Why is Texas ranked number 11? Why is Texas ranked number 11? Because yes, they are playing good football right now. But when we're looking at what Texas has done this season, sitting there like, are we sure about this? It's like, are you sure about that? Because it just doesn't make a lot of sense as far as what we have seen out of Texas this year. We know the big name. We know Arch Manning is there. We know all of that. But let's go over their schedule real quick because this team has not performed to the level that you would have thought. Let me pull up their schedule real quick. All right, you got their game against Ohio State. They lost to Ohio State. They beat San Jose State, UTEP, Sam Houston, lost to a stinking Florida team. They beat Oklahoma, struggled with Kentucky, struggled with Ole Miss, and then you beat Vanderbilt, and now all of a sudden we think that this is the 11th ranked team in the country? If Arch If Arch Manning was not on this team, and this team was named Washington instead of Texas, they would not be ranked number 11. And I will go to the bank on that one. I feel good about that one. Now, Texas does have some opportunities on the way out with Georgia and with Texas A&M, but the question is, how much can they really fall? This feels like a team that they want to be in the playoffs. Even if they lose to Georgia, be like, oh, well, I mean, hey, it's Texas still, right? That's the way that this feels. Is that you are looking at this and you're saying, how, how, how is Texas ranked so high right now? This feels absolutely wrong, 100% wrong. Um, and then you have Notre Dame 10. Got no problem there. Notre Dame is playing great football right now. There is nothing to debate about Notre Dame, not even a little bit. But now the question goes, how do we feel about Oregon at 9? Now, everybody sees the helmet, but behind me, and you might think, George, how do you feel about this? Are you frustrated by this? I'm absolutely not. Not even a little bit. Because what I do know is when you look at Oregon's schedule, despite, and this is why I rank teams based upon the three most important criteria: quality wins, schedule played, and dominance. Oregon has been absolutely dominant. That's why their FPI rankings are so high. But they have also not had the benefit of playing a great schedule. Now, it's not because they didn't try. Who knows that Oklahoma State's going to be this bad? Who knows that Penn State is just going to fall apart, quarterback get hurt, coach get fired after you beat them. You drop Indiana, you beat the hell out of Rutgers, you beat up Wisconsin, but now it is good that the teams surrounding Oregon are still ranked now. So now all of a sudden, this Iowa game goes from an unranked game to the number 9 team in the country versus the number 20 team in the country. That is going to go a long way if Oregon can win that game. Hell, even if Iowa can win that game. That is going to go a long way to getting a fourth Big Ten team into the college football playoff, because the Big Ten has all of these games on the back end of the schedule that are going to matter. And then Oregon plays Minnesota. They got USC, who should be able to navigate their next upcoming schedule until they get to Oregon. And then you got Washington as well. So the last week of the season, if Oregon's able to beat Iowa, Minnesota, and then USC, you're going to have a huge setup with Washington in what could be a race for the college football playoff, for the last Big Ten spot or one of the two last Big Ten spots. You have Texas Tech at 8. I am happy that the committee is giving Texas Tech the respect that they deserve. Now, they are going to be highly tested this week versus BYU, and we're going to get into the games in just a little bit. So you guys, make sure you guys stick around for that. Hop in the comments, hop in the chat, because I will get to it as soon as we go through the rankings. But Texas Tech, this defense has been absolutely dominating people. The only game that they didn't dominate is the game that they lost. And the game that they lost was against, yes, the game that they lost was Arizona State, and they didn't even have their head coach. So that matters, people. That absolutely matters. All right, the next thing that we got to do is the next teams. So then we got BYU. They are undefeated. They have been dominant, but they feel a little bit like Georgia Tech to me. This back half of the schedule is going to get a little bit rougher. They got Texas Tech and they got Cincinnati, who's a good football team. TCU is not going to lay down either. And then they should be able to beat USF at the end of the season. So it feels like that the next 3 games for BYU are their season, because I'm telling you, if BYU loses, they are going to take a big hit. From if they lose any game besides Texas Tech, they are going to take a big hit in the rankings. And so for the Big 12's sake, they hope that this Texas Tech BYU game is a 1 point last second win. Like they want it to look good on paper, they want it to look good on film, the way everybody is excited about the Big 12. Then you have Georgia, I'm sorry, Ole Miss at 5. I'm not mad at Ole Miss at 5. It makes sense. But their best win, if you think about it, on the whole season is Oklahoma. Outside of that, the LSU win, it means nothing at this point in time. It means about as much as the Penn State win does to Oregon at this point in time. And the South Carolina win, South Carolina is what, 6-3, 3-6, excuse me. We're not getting ready here on George Wrighster's college football podcast to sit here and pretend like South Carolina wins, that win is some kind of way better than Oregon beating Northwestern. Northwestern would probably beat South Carolina if we're really being honest. But Ole Miss got a cakewalk out the door. They got the Citadel. They got Florida, who can't score on offense. Their defense is pretty good though. And then they're at Mississippi State to end the game, in the season. So it feels like Ole Miss is one of the 3 teams that you can absolutely guarantee will be in the college football playoff. And the other ones are Ohio State and Indiana, because there doesn't look like a spot, because Ohio State cannot lose to Purdue, UCLA, or Rutgers. The only game that they can possibly lose is Michigan at the end of the season. And then you got Indiana. They got Penn State, Wisconsin, and Purdue. No chance. So those 2 teams are going to finish undefeated and go, or one loss and go to the Big Ten championship. So that ain't changing. Then you got Texas A&M at 3. I'm not mad at Texas A&M at 3 either. But their road out the door, they're going to send Missouri, who's having quarterback issues right now, out the door. They're going to be out of the top 25 next week. Then they got South Carolina. Now, South Carolina might jump up and beat them, which is wild because Texas A&M's defense is not formidable at all this year. Then they got Samford a layup, and then that Texas win, that Texas game is going to be for a college football playoff spot for Texas. As long as, because Texas A&M is going to get in for sure as long as they beat Missouri and South Carolina. If they beat Missouri and South Carolina, they are in no matter what happens in that Texas game. So that's another piece of thing. And I heard Joey Galloway talking, Texas A&M, I guess we're going off eye test if we're going off of Ohio State and Indiana because the analytics. He doesn't understand the analytics. Ohio State has the number 1 defense in the country, and it ain't even close. They're only giving up like 8 points a game on the season. It was 6 before they gave up 14 to Penn State because they fumbled in their own territory. They still be giving up like 6.5 points per game, if not for that. So we're not even getting ready to play around like it's some eye test with Ohio State. You watch Ohio State, you watch them monsters, Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith on the outside, you're going to tell me it's the eye test? Ain't nothing eye test about this Ohio State team, pal. Everything about this Ohio State team says they are fan-freaking-tastic this year. That's what you're watching when you're watching Ohio State. So Joey Galloway, don't nobody want to hear that, fam. Nobody wants to hear that. That sounds like, and I know that people are, well, listen, he's being unbiased. He's an SEC. I mean, he's a Ohio State guy. Listen, sometimes you try to be so unbiased that you end up being biased. That's what Joey Galloway is doing right now. All right, so before we get into the games, I'm gonna hop into the chat, hop in you guys' comments, and you guys know how to get your name to the top. Yeah, I mentioned Missouri already. Same goes for Missouri. They haven't beaten anybody. Somebody said Miami shouldn't be ranked at this point. How would you not rank Miami and you've ranked Missouri and you've ranked Tennessee? That makes no so by that metric, yes, Miami should be ranked, and Miami beat Notre Dame. We can't sit here and have revisionist history about the fact that in the beginning of the season, Miami looked like the best team in college football. They did. And now, after two losses in their last three games against Louisville and SMU, we are questioning, does Carson Beck have it? Does is their head coach Mario Cristobal? Does he know how to prepare a team for the end of the season? Because he's clearly a great recruiter. He's been a great head coach, but something about this offense won't let them explode on a week in and week out basis. You got they got NC State, Syracuse, uh, Virginia Tech, and Pitt left. They could be in line for another loss, which would leave a lot of questions surrounding Mario Cristobal and this team. All right, we got next up in the chat. Texas is 20 at best, in my opinion. Listen, I got Texas in my rankings in my top 25. I have Texas 17. I'm not gonna overreact to a couple of games against Kentucky and Mississippi State. Those are not good football teams. You don't like people will try to discount, Indiana beating the hell out of UCLA, but then give Texas credit for an overtime win versus Mississippi State. Because they got cowbells down there. What does that mean? They were down big. They were down 17 for no reason. Yes, you get some credit for finding a way to win, but let's not sit here and act like we should be overly impressed. Um, Oregon will move up, hopefully not too far, so we get a home game. Yeah, if Oregon wins out, they beat Iowa, a ranked Iowa, then have a ranked. Then they're going to play Minnesota, which is going to help their strength of schedule on some level as well. Then they're going to have USC and Washington. You win those four games, Oregon will be a top 5 or 6 team, which is exactly where you want to be if you're them. The way you get a home playoff game, you get a chance to warm up, just like Ohio State did last year. You get a chance to get a team coming into Austin. It'd be exciting. And then so I said Texas Tech shouldn't be ahead of Oregon. That is all. Now, I would I can make a case for Texas Tech being in front of Oregon because of what Texas Tech did to Utah. What they did to Utah matters. Like we can't sit here and act like it hasn't, and they haven't struggled not even one single solitary bit. So I'm not mad at that. I thought Oregon was going to come somewhere in between 6 and 8, but they came in at 9. That is no biggie. But now let's look at actually. Let me finish in the chat first. Oh man, Iowa is Michael Myers scary? Oh, they should definitely be taken into consideration for sure. It said Miami has lost to 2 unranked teams. Yeah, and um, who do you think Texas lost to? They lost to unranked and losing record having Florida. So there is a difference. All right. So now let's get to what the playoff committee did and what that means in terms of the seeding. So I'm gonna put the So I'm gonna put this up. So here is the projected 12-team playoff based upon the rankings right now. So you have Ohio State 1, Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, Texas A&M 3, Alabama 4. So Memphis would go in because they are the highest ranked G5, G6 team. And then you have and then they would be playing the winner of so Alabama would be playing the winner of Georgia, Memphis. And then you got Oregon, Texas Tech, Ohio State, Virginia, Ole Miss, plays against Texas A&M, and then you got Notre Dame, BYU getting the Indiana game. And I think that I'm pretty sure that everybody wants to stay out of that 8-9 line. And then the other part is that Virginia. So Virginia came in at 14th in the rankings, but because they are uh, the fourth highest ranked conference champion, they automatically get into the berth, which I actually love. There's going to be some people that push back on this, but I actually love it. And the reason why I love it is because it takes away the judgment of the committee and people saying, "Oh, well, this team doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs." All these things are better. All these teams are better. And I'm like, it's okay, bro. It is okay. This is exactly the way it should be done. And we're also lining ourselves up to be able to get more teams in the college football playoff, which I do believe is better for the sport. Now, initially, I was like, we need to stop at 16. I'm sorry. Yeah, the 16 is the right answer. And 16, truthfully, might be the right answer. But we definitely need more than what we have right now. 100 I can I feel good about saying that. So and the last thing I want to show you is this graphic, and then I want to show you this. So the first round of the playoff, the way you guys can understand how the schedule works totally. So you got the first round of the playoff is December 19th and 20th. So those are going to be those home games. And then you're going to have the quarterfinal playoff games, and people are going to play closest to where they are. So you would have Ohio State, if they remain number one, they would either go to the Sugar Bowl or go to the Cotton Bowl. And then you would have the SEC team either play, depending on if it is Texas A&M or whether it is, Texas A&M, Alabama, or Georgia. They would then go to the next closest place to them. And then so on and so forth everywhere else. And then you're going to have the national championship game in Miami, which is pretty cool. And, overall, generally good. So you guys make sure y'all keep beating up the comments and everything else because all of these things matter, and I appreciate your time. You guys make sure that you like, subscribe, get notifications, and tell a friend about the show. All right, now we got to get to the next business for what we came for. And you guys make sure that you put your stuff in the chat. You can super chat, all of that stuff, which means I will get to your stuff first. All right. So now let's get to the predictions for this week. Actually, first, I want to give you my predictions for the CFP first because I think that would be pretty cool. All right. So with this ranking, I would Georgia over Memphis. Then I would put Oregon over Texas Tech because I want to see that Ohio State game again, and I think everybody else does. They want to see if there's some get back. Ole Miss beats Virginia, and then Ole Miss beats Texas A&M. So I would put Ole Miss all the way in the semifinals. Notre Dame would beat BYU, and then you would have Notre Dame beats BYU. And then Notre Dame versus Indiana. Indiana gets their get back this year because they are a much more physical team than they were last year. And then you would have Alabama versus Georgia, which I would take Alabama again. And Kalen DeBoer would officially be off the hot seat. Oregon, Ohio State. Right now, I would have to give the edge to Ohio State. Then Ohio State beats Alabama. Ohio State in the national championship versus Indiana, Texas A&M. Oh, I'm absolutely taking Indiana. Their defense is powerful. And then you're going to get Indiana versus Ohio State, a repeat of the Big Ten championship in the national championship game. And I have long told you guys here that styles make fights. that you can't just judge the college football playoff based upon who you think is the best. Because you have to remember, everybody is trying to play their best in December and then in January. Because last year, Oregon was the best team throughout the whole season. Number one throughout the season. Most consistent, blowing people out, doing well, everything else. But when it came to the college football playoff and 25, 26 days layoff, that changes everything. Ohio State had an advantage of playing Tennessee at home, and then that revved them up. And all the teams that had buys last year, Arizona State, Oregon, Georgia, um, and Boise State all came out slow and down, and ultimately lost their first round games. So now we're going to see with the new seeding if that changes that. Because that, my friends, alone will be interesting just to see how the teams react from being, how they react from not having that bye, because I do believe that changes things. All right, now we got to get into what happens this week in the world of college football, because I give you the rankings every single week and we do predictions every single week here on George Wrighster's College Football Podcast. So we are going to start with what are the most important games of the week. And the most important game of the week. Hold on. Putting this out in the chat. The most important game of this week is BYU versus Texas Tech. Oh, how did we end up doing that? We don't want that. All right. So we got BYU versus Texas Tech. And this game is highly important for BYU and for Texas Tech, because both of these teams are BYU is undefeated, and you have them in a situation where they can get in the college football playoff. Their head coach is a man who is now being fancied about different jobs in college football. So this is gonna get real interesting for them. So you got Joey McGuire versus Kalani Sitake. This is a team number 7 versus number 8 in the college football playoff. This is going to be at AT&T Stadium, which is going to be pretty cool as well. Big 10, Big 12 clash. And their quarterbacks, you got a true freshman in Bear Bachmeier over there at BYU wearing nasty number 47, thrown for almost 1,700 yards, 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions this season, and went over 300 yards against Iowa State and 2 touchdowns a week ago. Doing really good on third down against Baron Morton, who is back healthy for Texas Tech. 1,750 yards, 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and think he missed 2 games. The last game versus Kansas State went for 250 and 2 touchdowns. He is efficient, and they rely heavily on play action and what the defense puts this team into their situation. So if I'm going better passer, I'm going to trust Baron Morton because he is the more experienced passer in the situation. But BYU's keys, if we're looking at their offense versus Texas Tech's defense, their running back LJ Martin, he's the Big 12 rushing leader, and Parker Kingston, he had 133 yards his last time out. And BYU, they are who, if you look at balanced football, that's what BYU is. They're trying to play good defense with being able to run the football and throw it at a high level too. I believe that this team is actually even better off than with Jake Retzliff at quarterback. Bear Bachmeier is doing a phenomenal job, and their offensive coordinator, Aaron, I forgot his last name. He should be in line for some of these head coaching job opportunities, and potentially their defensive coordinator, Jay Hill, as well. But now, if we're looking at Texas Tech's offense versus BYU's defense, Um, Baron Morton's got to keep getting the ball to Coy Eakins, C.J. Douglas, and activate and make the right decisions on these RPOs. That is going to be crucial to them winning these football games. But BYU on defense, they are not super exotic at all. They're not going to do anything fancy. They're not going to line up and do all this tricky stuff. They are just going to line up and square you up in the face and be like, are you ready? Marshawn Lynch, run it through your face. So Texas Tech in this game, surprisingly, is a 9.5 point favorite in Lubbock. I'm sorry, they are a 9.5 point favorite in this game. I am actually surprised at that number because it is a huge, huge matchup. And oh wait, no, excuse me. I messed up earlier. I said the game was at AT&T. It's in Lubbock. So that's going to be fun. That is absolutely going to be fun, and I can't wait to see it. But I am going to take Texas Tech minus 9.5 in this game. I know that people are going to be outraged. They're going to be like, George, how could you do that? But Texas Tech is going to win this football game. This team is better than people think that they are, and you can book it. Next game we got to talk about Texas A&M versus Missouri. This is really the second most important game because this is the game that kind of gets Texas A&M in the clear to the college football playoff. You got them playing. They are 6.5 point favorites at Missouri, and Missouri's now number 3 in the college football playoff poll, and you have Missouri, who is ranked highly as well. What are they, 20? This is excuse me, they are 22. This is a separator in the ACC and a huge game for Eli Drinkwitz because people consistently want to mix head coach and winning games at where they are at future success because they won a big game. But they're down multiple quarterbacks. Bo Perbula's out. You got their original starter is out, and we think that this is going to go well. Starting a freshman versus Texas A&M. Okay, all right. And I know that Texas A&M defense is not great, but this offense is pretty good. And yes, Marcel Reed will throw you the football at times, but this is not a fair fight. And Texas A&M is 2-0 in the only 2 meetings that they've had in the last 10 years and won 41-10 last year in College Station. And their head coach Mike Elko is on the verge of doing something this year that has only been done 3 times by the previous coaches since 1999. That is finished the season higher ranked than they were when they started the season. Think about that. That's only happened 3 times since 1999. And there is no team in college football that has failed to meet the lofty expectations as frequently as Texas A&M has. You go back to Jimbo Fisher's days, you go back to Kevin Sumlin's days, top 10 teams never lived up to the expectations. Yes, they'll win a game here and there. So they're sitting here at 8-0, a road favorite against a ranked team. Against a ranked team that is depleted, there's no way they can lose this game. They cannot. If they do, they should tumble down the rankings. I'm telling you that because they're going to start. Missouri's going to start Matt Zollers, true freshman quarterback, against. And yes, he was a top 100 player out of Pennsylvania coming out of high school. But let's not sit here and act like that we expect him to win. If they win this football game, real questions need to be asked about Texas A&M and their chance to win a college football playoff championship. And Marcel Reed, Texas A&M's quarterback, second in the SEC in passing yards per game, and had and ran all over LSU last week, which was really good as well. And then, but the challenge this week is going to be Damon Wilson and Zion Young, who have combined for 16 tackles for loss and 11.5 sacks already this season. And if you are Missouri, you got to get the ball to Ahmad Hardy, your superstar running back. Let him get downhill. Find a way to find him lanes because he did not have those last week. Versus, he did not have those in their last game in their loss. So now it is definitely opportunity for them. And Missouri up next has Texas A&M, obviously Mississippi State and Oklahoma, and then so there's that. The next game that we have to talk about. Is USC versus Northwestern. And I know and USC is favored by 14 and a half points in the Coliseum, over under 50 and a half. So they don't expect this to be a super high scoring game. The weather is going to be good out here in LA. And this is a rare meeting. And honestly, this is a trap line, 100% trap line, because Northwestern does a good job of keeping everything in front of them. And everybody will tell you this is one of the more physical teams in the entire country. They are going to run the ball. They're going to line you up. They are going to try to beat you up. That's what they're going to try to do. And if you are USC, who has struggled with physicality at times, they struggled against physicality even at Nebraska last week. Had Dylan Raiola not gotten hurt, USC probably loses that football game, which would be devastating to the Big Ten's chances in terms of the college football playoff. Devastating. But now they got multiple teams in play. And you got David Braun versus Lincoln Riley as the head coach. These two dudes could not be more opposite based upon what their teams do. So Northwestern knows that they are at a skill position deficit. They are nowhere near as talented as USC is. So they have to not allow big plays. They have to keep the offense in front of them, and tackle. Stop the run. Because everything that USC does is predicated upon running the football. And Lincoln Riley is finally back to his Oklahoma days and not abandoning the run. And King Miller's doing a good job of running the football as well. But everything in this game, the X factors in this game, it is going to be at the quarterback position. Preston Stone for Nebraska. I'm sorry, for Northwestern. 1,300 yards on the season, almost 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns. But it is the 9 interceptions that are just not giving this team a chance to win. He cannot turn the football over in the pass game if they are going to have any shot in beating USC. Now, this will be a major upset, and the Big Ten is wishing that this would never happen. But I am going to take Northwestern plus 14 and a half. However, USC wins this football game. But it is going to be whether Jaden Maiava, if he can deal with a defense that's going to make him dink and dunk all over the place. Didn't work against Notre Dame, and Notre Dame didn't even get a huge pass rush. So if you're able to make him dink and dunk, make him uncomfortable, not leave people wide open, you're going to have a chance in this football game. So I believe Northwestern keeps it close, but USC wins this football game. And you guys can hop in the comment, tell me what you like. All right, the next game that we got to talk about, Oregon versus Iowa. I got to commend Iowa fans. Y'all have been amazing. Highly surprising how engaged you guys are. And I know that I got to give Iowa fans props because they have engaged on their bye week. Like, you would have thought that Iowa would have better fans than Northwestern in terms of like the number and the engagement, but more than Rutgers, more than Maryland, but not like Nebraska fans. They feel a lot like Nebraska fans in that they are committed, they are down for the cause, and they love their team. Now, this is the funny part, is that Iowa fans have bought so far into the Kirk Ferentz offensive model that they are starting to like embrace it. And that makes no sense to me. Because watching Iowa play offense is bad. It's hard on the eyes. It's been for years. They have not even thrown for 200 yards not one time this entire season. However, this defense is electric. They are dynamic. Their special teams is dynamic. They have one of the best rush defenses in the entire country. They have one of the best rushing attacks in the country. But throwing the football, it ain't it. And Kirk Ferentz is too good of a head coach and been around way too long, I believe, to sit here and play football like this. It's actually embarrassing, if we're being honest. Like, he's too good of a head coach. And Iowa fans, why don't you demand more in terms of being able to compete for a national championship? Offense is the only thing that's keeping you away from that. Now there are, and I have a whole breakdown on this game here on the channel. It's doing well, so you guys make sure that you guys support that as well. This is a narrative game. You have a top 10 defense at Oregon versus a top 10 offense. I'm sorry, versus a top 10 defense at Iowa. The winner of this game will be which offense is most successful and which special teams is most successful. That is going to determine this game. You have two really good defenses. You got the number one pass defense in the country in Oregon, the number 6 overall total defense in Oregon. You got Iowa's number 4 total defense overall in the entire country. And so it is good versus good. So if I got my money on offenses, I got my money on offenses. If you're going to tell me Mark Gronowski versus Dante Moore, I'm going to take Dante Moore and the Oregon offense. That's just the truth. So if you guys want more on this, go on the channel. Whole long breakdown on this, but this is going to be decided by the offense. And Iowa's kick return game and punt return game is spectacular. So you have to make sure that you defend upon that. And Oregon, they need to get up, score points, and force Iowa into into passing possessions. If I was allowed to get 2, 3, 4 first downs per drive, the game is going to get short. Possessions are limited. It will be a rock fight then. And then that's their path to winning. All right, next game that we got to talk about. I know you guys are surprised. Oh, I didn't put it up. I know you guys are surprised by this game, but we got to talk about it because one of these teams is inside of the top 25, and this is a matchup that is going to matter. And that is Cal. That is Cal versus Louisville. And you might be like, George, Cal versus Louisville. Who cares about this game? The same way you care about any of these other games. This is a upset special game, people. Potential upset special because Isaac Brown, Louisville's top running back, this kid is averaging over 8 yards a carry. He is down. He is down and he is out. This is going to be a serious issue. And I know that Justin Wilcox and Cal, they find a way to lose games that they should win all the time. But you cannot just discount that at this point in time because Louisville came out against Virginia Tech last week, a call that I was on CW. So I hope you guys saw that. They came out in the game and it was they started out slow. Virginia Tech was up at halftime, and they were playing like a team whose head coach was interviewing for other jobs. Yes, pay attention to teams when their head coaches' names start getting fancied about and start getting rumor milled about how those teams play. And this could be an opportunity for Justin Wilcox, his young quarterback, Jaren Kiwi-Sagapua-Telly. He's going to be going against Miller Moss. And depending on what happens with Justin Wilcox and what happens with the rest of this Cal team, Jaren Kiwi-Sagapua-Telly, he is a kid that is going to be highly sought after in the transfer portal. 100%. So you can book that because that is going to happen. But Miller Moss this year, who came from USC, he got cast away there. He has been steady for this Louisville team. And they went into last season ranked the 14th ranked defense in the country. I know we're used to Louisville being all offense, but this defense plays well. Plays very, very well. And they actually have one of the best transfers, and one of their defensive linemen transferred from Coastal Carolina. The kid is spectacular. And this is a matchup that is going to be decided by the interior. Because if Cal's interior line, if they lose on early downs, then Sagapui Telly's going to be under pressure. And he has shown that he's a true freshman. And if he has to throw the ball 35, 45 times a game, people have the book on him now. The offensive line is shaky. So now he forces balls. Balls will go up for grabs, even though he does a good job overall. If you protect him, this will be much better. But Louisville in this game is a 19.5-point favorite. No way they win by that much. Give me Cal. This feels like a 13 to 14 point line at the most. 19.5. They're not going to win by 3 scores. Well, by 3 touchdowns. You might as well forget about that. The next game that we got up. It's funny because this is a game that in the preseason people thought would be, oh, this will be for all the marbles in the SEC. Sorry. I told you. See, this is why and remember when I did the preseason rankings and I did the SEC rankings, I told y'all. And this is why you stick with what's always Wrighster, never wrong. You stick with what's in the gut. I knew this LSU thing was fool's gold. I got talked into George. They went all in the transfer portal. Brian Kelly got his guys. This is the year. I was like, I don't know. This still don't feel like it's a good fit, a good match. I've heard some things. I don't know. Against my better judgment, I gave LSU the benefit of the doubt. And now this game is in prime time. Alabama's favored by 10.5 points. And so you would think that this is a prime time for Alabama to absolutely light it up. Wrong. LSU will win this game outright. And you're probably shocked. George, how is LSU, with what they've done this season, going to win this game outright? Pay attention to when coaches get fired. What happened at UCLA? What happened at Virginia Tech? What has happened at a few of these other schools whose coaches have been fired? There's an uptick in performance. My coach in Jacksonville, Jack Del Rio, when he first got hired, my draft class came in, said there are 2 things that happen in professional sports, which is now college sports. Coaches get fired and players get fired. Well, the coaches just got fired, so you know who's up next before the coach gets fired again. And so players are going to be reinvigorated, and it's not like LSU is short on talent. Their quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier, threw for 4,000 yards last year. 4,000 yards. He's on pace for 2,800 this year. Got really good wide receivers, and we think that they don't have a chance in this football game? No, sir. No, sir. That is not the case. That is not the case at all. Because people have been calling for Van Buren and everything else, but Caleb Duran and Harlem Berry, they are going to get going running the football. Anderson, Brown, and Thomas and Green, Parker, all of their wideouts, they are going to have their best day against Alabama. This is my upset special of the week. And, last game versus South Carolina, Alabama was the first. It was their first multi-game turnover of the season, and South Carolina had 5 total scoring drives that were limited to a total of 22 points because South Carolina's offense is so bad, and South Carolina threw Alabama a pick six in the beginning of the game and then fumbled in their own territory, and Alabama won by one score. This Alabama team is vulnerable, just like every team not ranked number 1 or number 2. They are vulnerable. So y'all remember this, write it down, take a picture. This will be an upset. Alabama's Ty Simpson. He is still making a strong case for his Heisman bid. And this would be the time on some level to have a SEC signature win, but LSU ain't it. But if they're down in the fourth quarter and he's able to come back and win, this could be a Heisman moment. That could. And Ty Simpson is starting to hear the NFL rumors and all that stuff. Yes, that's all cool, but he seems like a kid that's going to be able to manage it well. And Jam Miller, Alabama's run game has not been good. Jam Miller's last 3 games, 42 carries, 126 yards. That's 3 yards flat. 3 yards per carry. That's not going to cut it. And you can tell me about the rest of this roster all you want to. You can talk about their big back Riley all you want to. He's got 181 yards on the season. LSU's strength is their defense. And now that they're going to have some energy back with having a new coach and trying not to get everybody in the building gone, for him to be able to retain this job, it's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a big deal. And anybody that's not an LSU hater, they want to see Garrett Nussmeier go out sad. So hopefully they can protect him in this game, give him some opportunities. And he's like, my draft stock is going like Quinn Ewers last year. It's time to let it rip. No risk it, no biscuit. And that's the truth. Aaron Anderson's numbers are down. So I'm telling you, I am going to take Alabama to win this football game. And LSU to win this football game. And their interim head coach, Frank Wilson, is going to have every opportunity to get this job after this win. So y'all can book it. Next game that we got to talk about. Unbelievable. If I had told you that this game would be a complete afterthought, so we ain't going to spend a whole lot of time on it. This is more. Look at the network that this game is on. ACC Network, fabulous network. Some great people work there. They do great work there. But if I had told you before the season that Florida State and Clemson, this game would be on the ACC Network after I picked Clemson to go to the national championship, and I deserve a what the hell, George? Because I couldn't have been further from the truth. 4-4 Florida State. After they beat Alabama, I told everybody they were still fool's gold. But now this game is on ACC Network. It is still an ACC grudge match. This is still 2 big brands. Dabo Swinney trying to save the season, get to a bowl game. Need this win. You got Mike Norvell trying to keep his job. Needs a win. These are must-win situations for both of these coaches. Now, Dabo ain't getting fired, but having a season like this is going to allow some people to have some sort of say-so in this team and how he runs it. It is just like one of my I remember my brother-in-law, he used to live with us. He's like 20-some years younger than my wife. And he was like, George, I'm grown. Like, Denisha trying to tell me what I need to do and this. I was like, listen, brother, you are grown as in you are an adult. Like, you are an adult, but you're not grown. The moment that you are grown is when nobody is contributing to your bills or your living situation on any level. Now he's grown. But at that point in time, he was not grown. He was an adult. And this is exactly what's happening at Clemson. Dabo Swinney have been grown. But now, he's falling on hard times a little bit, and he's going to need some help from some other people. And you get help from other people, what do they want? They want influence. They want say-so in what you got going on. So Dabo's going to have to take some say-so from some places that he don't want say-so. But the long story short on this game, take Clemson -2.5. I do not trust the physicality that Florida State is going to play with, even though that they're one of the best rushing teams in the country. I believe that because I heard from another coach that played against Florida State, they were like, but this was last year, and they said it's still on tape this year. This is one of the softest football teams that they've seen from Coach Norvell. You can't be putting out a soft program, Florida State. Ain't gonna cut it. All right. Now, next game we got to talk about briefly. Oh, Ole Miss. Ole Miss versus the Citadel. You see what picture I got up there? It's a cupcake special. A cupcake special for Ole Miss. Good job, SEC. November cupcakes. There's no chance that you lose while everybody else is playing games that matter and risking everything, and you over here playing the Citadel. Good job, Ole Miss. Hope it works out for you. Get the hell out of here. We're not even acknowledging this game. Get up out of here. All right, the next thing up, we got upset specials. These are the games that I believe outside of the Alabama LSU game, because I wanted to give that special attention, that have upset potential all over them. So Georgia is at Mississippi State. Mississippi State is 5-4. They should have beaten Texas, got their heart broken. They would be 6-3 right now and might even be ranked had they beaten Texas. And Texas sure wouldn't be number 11 right now. Georgia is only favored by 7.5 points in this game. This game is similar to Oregon, Iowa, except for Iowa's better than Mississippi State. In that these are teams that can get you locked down in a rock fight and drag you down to where they are and just smack you up and you leave with a limp, even if you win. Man, oh man. And you guys keep hopping in the comments. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy. I will get to all your comments as well. And you guys put who you guys have winning these football games as well. So Georgia comes in at 7-1, ranked number 5. Mississippi State 1-4 in the SEC. This game's in Starkville, and obviously Georgia got past Florida last week in Jacksonville in the biggest formerly cocktail party of them all. Mississippi State beat Arkansas last week. And this is the battle of the Bulldogs. You got Kirby Smart versus Jeff Lebby as the head coaches. And Jeff Lebby, with his tempo and his quarterback, he is trying to establish, like, y'all, we are a problem in Mississippi. We are a problem in Starkville. And they are similar to what Kentucky is, in that Kentucky, their defense, their home environment, all of this stuff, it can get you trapped down. They're going to keep everything in front of you, and they're going to force you to inch and see if you can play mistake-free football for 15, 17 plays to be able to score. And most teams can't do it, and they end up kicking field goals. But you got quarterbacks in this. Blake Shapen versus Gunnar Stockton. Gunnar Stockton, 1,700 yards, 12 touchdowns, 2 picks. Blake Shapen, 2,100 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6 picks. Blake Shapen is proven to be a very good quarterback. Mississippi State just can't have turnovers, and they can't get tight in the fourth quarter. The difference in winning and losing this game, I believe, is going to be whether Mississippi State can handle any amount of success, because they couldn't handle success against Texas. And when you don't, this is one of those teams, like, you have to learn how to win. And if you are a Mississippi State fan, I know that your heart was broken against Texas, but you got to hope that that was a learning experience, that translates into winning for this team, not for next year, but for this year. That way you can finish out, go to a bowl game, be excited about the future. But for Georgia, it's got to be Chauncey Bowers, sorry, Chauncey Bowens, Cash Jones running the football. You have to run the football at a high level if you are Georgia. It has been, hit or miss this season. And then when you get opportunities to make big plays to Zachariah Branch, London Humphreys, Jamari Bell, do it. Don't miss layups. And that's honestly what Gunnar Stockton has really been good at is when you need a throw, he's made a throw. So, and Georgia, this is a team that absolutely lives in 2nd and 4, and they want to play action you. They want to just get you in tough to deal with situations on defense. Excuse me. So stopping the run early is going to be key for Mississippi State. And not just on first down, but if you get Georgia in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, they will run the football there too. And that's the thing that honestly makes them even more dangerous is that they will run the football in those situations. All right, I am going to. So we'll get down to the picks because the X factors, I believe, Georgia's red zone touchdown rate, like field goal, like the Mississippi State has to hold them to field goals, and then for Mississippi State, it is going to be their crowd, the cowbells, getting some explosive plays, and scoring some touchdowns. Because if you can get even a 10-point lead early and then not try to hold on to it, but keep that aggressiveness, you're going to have a chance. I am going to take Mississippi State plus 7.5 in this game. This feels like options here. This feels like a great situation here. All right, then you got Memphis and Tulane. Now, I just had Ryan Silverfield on the program, and he's probably like, George, come on, man. You putting us on upset alert? Yes, man. You're playing against Tulane. This is a good football program, and truthfully, they still have a chance to get into the college football playoff if they can beat you. You were ranked number 22 in the AP poll. You are in the college football playoff right now, like we showed you earlier. This is an opportunity. And if you guys missed any of the earlier program, then go back. I go through all of the college football playoff rankings and how they shake out, why they shake out. So you didn't miss anything. Just slide the slider back just a little bit. All right, so this game is actually on Friday night, just like the USC game, in Liberty Stadium in Memphis, Tennessee, my hometown, my born city. For real. Now, when we look at the head coaches, you got Ryan Silverfield versus John Summerall. And both of these head coaches are going to be somewhere else next season. I'm sorry, Memphis fans. I'm sorry, Auntie Vicky. I'm sorry, Tulane fans. Both of these head coaches will be at Power 4 programs next year. So you can just book it. It's just a matter of where they're going to be. John Summerall may be at LSU. He might be at Auburn. Ryan Silverfield could be at, I don't think he's going to be at Virginia Tech because I don't know if they want a Memphis head coach. Hell, he might even be replacing Mike Norvell at Florida State, depending on what goes different there. He could be traveling across the bridge to Arkansas, anywhere. But Ryan Silverfield will be a head coach somewhere next year. He has like 70-something new players this year and is finding a way to win. That is adapting to the new age in college football. But Jake Retzlaff, his quarterback, over there at Tulane, pretty good job. 1,600 yards, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, with another 513 rushing yards as well. He's the team leader in rushes. And then you got Brendan Lewis over there at Memphis. Nobody would have ever thought this about this kid. 1,900 yards, 10 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's won more games this season than he has won his entire career as a starter. And the man started like 50, 45 games or something like that. It's crazy. This is going to be a situation where Memphis linebacker Sadir Mitchell, Stone Brumfield, they have to be very good in this game to be able to beat Tulane. I am going to, I am looking at this. I'm going to take Tulane plus 7.5. This feels like a field goal game to me, but Memphis wins. But Tulane keeps this extremely close, extremely close. So y'all make sure that y'all watch that one as well, and then come back and hop in the comments, and we'll talk about it. Next game we got to talk about Auburn at Vanderbilt. Lord have mercy. This is another opportunity. You got DJ Durkin at head coach versus Clark Lee. Clark Lee at Vanderbilt. Ever since his name started being floated about in more and more coaching searches, and he has not come out and said, I'm not leaving, what has happened? Vanderbilt has gone downhill. Yes, they ended up putting up a good fight versus Texas at the end, but they were getting blown out. It took 17 points in the fourth quarter to even make the game relatively close. And then they'll say, "Oh, we were an onside kick away." Actually, really, you weren't. You were down big in the game. Texas let up and almost let happen what they did to Mississippi State. Hugh Freeze is out, but this is a top 20 defense. But the offense has been inconsistent. Fans are calling for Deuce Knight at quarterback instead of the Stanford transfer. They got the other kid that was starting, Jackson Arnold from Oklahoma. We don't know who's going to start at quarterback, but what we do know is DJ Durkin. He confirmed what people tried to say wasn't true. When Hugh Freeze came out and said, "Yeah, we're going to have somebody who calls first down plays. Nix is going to call first down plays. Durkin's going to call plays, and then somebody else, and three different play callers." DJ Durkin said one person will be the play caller. That's it, Nix. And I love it. This is smart. There was no way what Hugh Freeze was doing was going to work. It was a bad idea. You need one voice leading the offense the way you can set it up, everything else. I believe that Auburn, bad Auburn Tigers, they are 6.5-point underdogs playing at Vanderbilt. Auburn wins this football game. Auburn wins this. They have been in most of their football games. Yeah, and I know they lost an ugly 10-3 game versus Kentucky last week, but just the resurgence of losing Hugh Freeze, they're no longer being uncertainty about your head coach. The future is there. And if they believe DJ Durkin like the way that he came across in the press conference, this team is going to have an uptick. And if Nix is like, "Yo, I might be getting fired as the coordinator, so you know what? I am going to go out there and do my thing." And this is what has to happen, because so many times coaches play conservative because they're like, "Well, everything will be fine if we don't get blown out. We don't want to make mistakes. We don't want to take chances." This is your chance to stay employed. Throw everything, throw the kitchen sink, throw everything. Because if you got to shoot all the bullets and then throw the gun. You cannot sit here and just let yourself get put out to pasture without giving it everything that you got. You cannot. I don't care who starts at quarterback, none of that. But on the Vanderbilt side, this is your opportunity to show that you belong in that college football conversation if chaos happens above you. You cannot allow this game to be lost. If you are Diego Pavia and you've been striking Heisman poses after bad offensive performances, this is your chance, Diego. You got over 2,000 yards passing, 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, another 500 rushing yards, and 6 touchdowns. Last week, phenomenal performance versus Texas in the second half. 365, 3 touchdowns, rushing touchdown, Heisman stat line. But now you got to go get Heisman wins. And then you can get it as a legacy award for what you did for Vanderbilt. If you can get Vanderbilt into the college football playoff, good on you, Diego. I'm rooting for you. But it ain't gonna happen this time. And I know that Eli Stowers, their wide receiver, well, their tight ends doing a good job. But Auburn is top 10 rushing defense by yardage, and that's what Vanderbilt thrives on. They are going to run the football, and then they are going to do play actions off of this. Like it's kind of triple option-ish, except for they can throw the ball significantly better. If you can stop them from running the football, which I believe Auburn can, you can get turnovers, you can get short fields, and you have to put it in the end zone. This is going to be a hard-fought game, but give me Auburn with the upset. That's why they're on the upset special list, people. Upset City. All right. Let me hop in the comments, see what y'all are talking about in there. But you guys make sure y'all keep beating up the comments because you know I get to them. I have some more Oregon. Oh, as a Notre Dame fan, Ohio State is scary, and IU is a little bit scary. We would be Texas A&M in a rematch and mollywop Miami. 100%. I couldn't agree with that anymore. All right. All right. The next potential upset special, and you're like George. You must be a Washington hater if you're putting Washington on the upset special versus Wisconsin. Washington's favored by 11 and a half points. 44 and a half over under. If you ain't going to tell me that that's got all the makings of a potential upset, I don't know what else does. Washington has been atrocious starting on the road. They win all their games at home, except for the Ohio State game. When they go on the road, this is not the same football team. And Wisconsin's defense is good. They believe they're going to have some oomph after the Oregon game, which was 21-7. Now, granted, their offense didn't get anything going, and it took a miracle catch to even get that 7 points in the fourth quarter. But they are going to believe that they can do something. And I believe that they are going to hold this Washington defense down, well, this Washington offense down, even though Damon Williams is dynamic, but Camp Randall Stadium is going to be phenomenal as well. Washington is inside of the top 25 in the college football playoff poll. And Wisconsin has lost 6 straight. But we got 2 good coaches in Jed Fish and Luke Fickell, whose futures are not exactly certain. I know the University of Wisconsin, yes, they've come out and said, like, listen, we're just going to keep Luke Fickell. We're going to invest in NIL, invest in resources and transfer portal and all of that stuff. Give him a fighting chance, which is smart on Wisconsin because he's a good football coach. And then you got Jed Fish. His name is being thrown around for all of these head coaching jobs as well. He's quieted some of it. But don't think that it has gone away yet. And I like Damon Williams. And we will see what happens at quarterback for Wisconsin because they've been shuffling guys around. So Washington holds the advantage in the quarterback realm. And Wisconsin holds it in the defensive realm. So if Wisconsin is able to get any level of turnovers, and Washington has not had a lot of success running the football with Jonah Coleman, who's I believe is still one of the best backs in the country. Their offensive line is going to have a tough time with Wisconsin. I like Wisconsin plus 11 and a half in this game. It is going to be hard, and I actually do believe that they get in field goal range and score a touchdown. I think that they put up 16 points. We're probably looking at like a 16 to 23 game for Washington. But Wisconsin absolutely puts up a good fight in this game. And then the last game on the upset special, we got Wake Forest and Virginia. Virginia's glass slipper is going to fall off at some point in time. And if with Wake Forest, with Jake Dickert, if they start their true freshman, Still Pizzella at quarterback, they will beat Virginia. Still, remember this name, Still Pizzella, a.k.a. The Machine. Kid from out here in Southern California. Kid is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC soon. Or wherever Jake Dickert is, because his name might be bandied about for some of these head coaching jobs too. So you can book it. That's another remember it, write it down situation too. All right. The last thing that we got up today is the zero threat games. The zero threat games. We got Ohio State versus Purdue. Yes, Purdue is much improved. They gave Notre Dame fits last week on defense. They had trouble scoring. But believe you me, Ohio State is gonna pull them pants down and whap, 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 whap. This is gonna be an ass whooping, boy. Ass whooping. How much is Ohio State? I don't even know what Ohio State is favored in this game because it's not even worth looking. Whatever it is, take Ohio State laying them points. Then you got Indiana, Penn State. What can be said about Curt Cignetti that hasn't been said already? He's going to look at what Ohio State did to Penn State last week, which was 38-14. And he's going to be like, hold my beer. Hold my beer. They won by 24 points. Indiana's going to win by 35 points. This will be a run-it-up game, and they're going to hold Penn State to under the 14. This is a statement game for Indiana. Curt Cignetti's like, we the best team in the country. Y'all going to rank us number one. However bad Ohio State beat somebody, we beating them worse. I love it. And then the next game, Notre Dame, Navy. Navy was complaining that they weren't ranked. Well, guess what? You should not have been ranked. You lost last week. Now Notre Dame. This game will be within the spread. This is going to be a tough game, and then Notre Dame's going to end up winning by three touchdowns. And then the last game that we got to talk about. This could be a jinx, but I got Miami dominating Syracuse. Syracuse is up against it right now. They've had a rough time since their quarterback and Geely went out. They just lost to North Carolina, lowly North Carolina, 27-10. They got beat up by Virginia Tech, beat up by Pitt, beat up by SMU, destroyed by Duke, and Miami's next. But could this be a setup? Oh, my God. Mario Chris, please, for the love of God, do not lose this game, Miami. Do not even make this game close. Please. But you guys, though, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy. We went over the college football playoff rankings to start the day. I hope you guys go back and watch it. If you are just joining right now, if you are watching on X, click on over to YouTube. Just show your boy some love. The link is on there. Go on my on my Twitter page. Go on there, click the YouTube page, and go back and watch the beginning. And you guys, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy because your time's the most valuable thing that you have. And I appreciate you spending it with me. We are almost to 25,000 subs. So make sure that you guys share because we got some dope stuff coming for y'all for making this happen. And I appreciate it. I thank you. Catch you guys later and stay on the channel. We got more previews, more shorts, more everything that you guys will enjoy.